where the furrows broke and the roots ran wild, to burn my shadow, bury that name in the peat and the rain, let it fade. I will rise from the ruin and the flame. I go wandering, ash of the old name.
So the OPPO X9 Ultra or Find X9 Ultra is a pretty great phone. It has a pretty great camera upgrade and especially this case looks pretty great about it. But also its overall design with this like Hasselblad look on the rear, but also the overall button layout. It even has an extra button, so I set it up to like power on the flashlight, but you can also use it for AI functionalities and other like tasks. Also it has a camera button, which sadly is not there anymore on a latest of Vivo. This is also one of the reasons why I decided to get this phone over the Vivo, but also because of the new price. The X9 or the X300 Ultra is costing, let's say, about 300 euros more, the European model, than the OPPO. And yeah, some say it's because of the import cost. That's true, because this phone is also more expensive here than in China. But at least you do now have the warranty of Europe, which is 2 years in comparison to China, their 1 year warranty. But also OPPO is really more like of service here than their own country. But okay, the overall performance of this camera system is pretty solid. I did notice that when we talk about the 4 cameras and we talk about the worst camera, it's definitely the ultra wide. It's just a smaller sensor than even my previous phone. It doesn't have optical image stabilization, which is also pretty sad because my previous phone also had it. But I don't use ultra wide much, even not on my old phone, and I will probably also not on this phone. So it's cool to have if you really want something more on the image. But ultra wide sensors, cameras have always been a bit of a gimmick for my use. So it is the worst camera on this phone. But for me, it doesn't really matter because I don't use it much. So the main sensor and also the periscope sensors are all pretty solid. The 10x sensor really is something you need to use in more brighter situations. Also, its focus range is a little bit limited, so you can't really place too much things too close to the sensor. You do need some distance. But the 3x periscope is very similar to the Vivo periscope. So it has a solid sensor, it has a solid zooming range, but also still has a good focus range as well. The main sensor is, of course, the big boy here. It's not a 1-inch sensor like the Xiaomi 17 Ultra has or the old X100 Ultra from Vivo. But it's definitely a bigger sensor with also some nice hardware and software built in to be very solid even in low light. Also, I did notice with the main sensors that in low light, even with O-log recording, you still see a lot of detail with not too much noise. You can really record a lot of things with less light with this camera. While with the X200 Ultra, it had some limitations. You really need a bright light, so like I have now with this video recording, to keep the image sharp and usable to edit afterwards. So the OPPO is definitely the better image when we talk about video quality and also photo quality. It is different kind of way of making photos, but it's just more refined and more, I would say, consistent than some other phones. The only complaint that I really have with this phone when we talk about video recording is that it doesn't really work well with external microphones. So it's really sad because I really wanted to use this phone also for audio recordings, but I'm not really sure yet if I would do that with this phone because it's external microphone support is just, it does support them, but the output is completely different than with other phones. Its built-in microphones, on the other hand, are pretty good. Maybe a bit too good. They will make everything very clearing sound, even your voice, but also like testing out Bluetooth speakers and so on. I have a few samples in this video. You see how clear it records things. It also has this like small color sensor. So it's a small camera that is like kind of trying to get better white balanced recorded on pictures, but also videos. I do still prefer to use manual white balance control. It's just more like personal, I prefer it more. But I do have to say that, especially with skin tones and so on, it does have the tendency to be a bit more realistic than some other phones. So it's not really a gimmick, this small camera. It definitely does help with some image processing for sure. So the built-in speakers are pretty solid as well. Some people complained about them not being sounded very nice. I can definitely say they sound nice. You do need to use the natural EQ on the speakers because the smart EQ, which is like changing between surges, is not great. But if you use the normal EQ, the neutral EQ, it's fine. It has some punch in the bass even, but it's definitely not the loudest loudspeakers I have seen on phones. But at least they don't distort and they keep the quality solid. The screen is bright, it's very sharp, it's flat, finally, because with my previous phone you still had some rounded corners. And the problem with rounded corners is you can't really get good screen protectors on those phones. So at least with this phone, I ordered some. I will soon have a glass protector on it. But also the screen can go pretty bright, it can go pretty low. And this really helps with keeping your eyes protected, but also it's very realistic still, even with lower brightness. So you still see a lot of detail on the screen. Something that's also pretty unique is that if you use this thing on auto hertz, so it can lower the hertz from 120 hertz, it still does a higher hertz frame rate than some other phones do with, let's say, YouTube. So yes, YouTube will still have a little bit of a lower frame rate, but at least it is smooth enough to not be annoying. Like with Vivo, it goes to 60 hertz and then you see it rattling, or even 30 hertz. So OPPO definitely has a better way of tuning down the screen refresh rate, but still keep it smooth. And the overall experience with this color reds is pretty smooth. It's very well done. There are a few small issues. That's also why I would not call this phone perfection, is that because I'm Dutch, the Dutch translation is not good in every place. Especially in the camera app, you have some translations where I'm like, yeah, that's not really the translation you should do from English to Dutch, but hey, at least I do understand some of the translations. Also, what's pretty unique about this phone is that the battery is pretty big, 7000 mAh. With this big battery you do get much better battery life out of this phone, but I also noticed that it's pretty efficient with the battery. So on standard it will not send every notification straight away, so you do need to turn on the phone sometimes to see if somebody have texted you or whatsoever, but it does help with the standby time of the battery life. And thanks to fast charging, but also fast wireless charging, it's a very diverse phone, and I can definitely say that I would not say it's the best phone I had in like the last 5 years, but it is definitely the best all-round phone. The camera system is solid. It's not the best out there, definitely not, but for an ultra phone it packs everything you need. But also on the screen, but also on the battery side, the software side, it is all, I would say, about 90% good perfection. 100%, I'm not sure we will ever get there, because every phone has the pros and the cons. The only biggest thing I don't really like about this phone, maybe they can fix it with a software update, is definitely the external audio support. It does support it, but the output is not great, and you also don't have any control on gain or DAB or DAC support or whatsoever. So it's pretty limited on that side. But overall, the other things are pretty great. So here are a few video samples, few photo samples, and then you see how this camera performs. I even did some audio recordings from a Bluetooth speaker with no external microphone, just the internal microphone, because it works the best on this phone. Enjoy it.
Block still barking, same grey stairwell carpet, cold air, sharp breath, yeah. Hood up, slide past blue tape, 2 feds by the off-license door. Mum text, ring me when you're safe. I text back, then I hit ignore. Council flat lift smells like smoke. Old man on the 3rd floor broke. Heard he lost that job last week, now he sells cheap run by the old phone booth. I got links in the crack screen phone, whole street in the chat, one phone. If it rings, then I'm out at home. Trainers muddy, but the mind's full grown. It's that midnight, it's state. Heartbeat shake like they underground train. Got pain in the veins, but we pray, tryna turn rain to a payday. It's that midnight, it's state. Block life, one wrong look, yo. 2028, ich roll im neuen Game. Kein Spritgeruch, nur Spannung unterm Frame. Steck an, bin wach, wenn die Nacht noch schläft. Lade in Minuten, wenn der Rest noch dreht. Ampel springt, ich bin schon 2 Längen vorn. Leise wie ein Schatten, doch die Blicke sind geformt. Display kalt, aber mein Blick bleibt heiß. Dein Tank ist alt, meiner macht den Kreis. Neue Räder, neues Tempo, neues Land. Ich fahr vorbei, Handgelenk am Rand. Zu Hause an der Dose, draußen vor dem Haus. Morgens voll, ich fahr direkt wieder raus. Sag mir, wer hält mich hoch? Wenn der Akku brennt, geh ich drauf und drauf. Sag mir, wer hält mich hoch? Ich lad nur kurz, dann bin ich wieder drauf. Ladestrom, Ladestrom.
Ich geh weiter, ich geh weiter.
Ich geh weiter. Ladestrom. Song came up on Route 67. Dirt on the hood and a grin on my face. Chevy was shaking on the county line, riding like a ghost through the open space. Gas gauge low, but I kept it moving. Red clay dust on the chrome by the door. Mama said, boy, don't you drive too fast. I just laughed and hit it to the floor. White walls humming on the cracked black top. Radio weak, but it still sang loud. Every field gone wild, where the furrows broke and the roots ran wild. To burn my shadow, bury that name in the peat and the rain. Let it fade. I will rise from the ruin and the flame. I go wandering, ash of the old name. Who am I when the tale runs dry? When the saints look on. Blackouts there, calm in the crush. Nothing but the pulse and the mean low rush. I don't take shine, I make it top. One heavy drop and the weak ones walk. Thumb on the wheel, slow, bring no stress. If you want that pressure, gon' get this flex. Hold that line, let it crawl. Feel it